made a joke about a sequel to Cats called Cats 2, and someone said there couldn't be a Cats 2 because it was based on a musical. Let me just tell you something. If Cats had worked, there'd be a Cats 2. You think they couldn't write new songs about different cats? C-3PO is a translator, not a lawyer. Well, for a translator, you sure got a lot of opinions. Did someone else say, I don't like the looks of this, or was that you? Darth Vader wasn't in charge of the Death Star. It was Moff Tarkin, played by the late, great Peter Cushing. And there was a fair amount of tension between Vader and Tarkin. And there was a deleted scene that was actually one of the funnier moments in Star Wars, where they first meet. And he's like, I'm Darth. And he's like, I'm off. And he's like, where are you off to? Brad Lander is, someone said Brad Lander is not an elected official. He is running for office. He is an elected official. He's the controller of New York City. Of course, as we remember, controller is spelled comptroller, but we're not allowed to say it that way. That's as an example of spelling that is comptrolling us. We mentioned the Zodiac Killer twice in yesterday's Closer Look. Someone said, why only twice? What about the rule of threes? We showed Ted Cruz. Very excited. New York Times has already reached out to license Zerdle. That's our Zodiac-themed Wordle. This is what it will look like when you play. It'll be a lot of fun. Don't play it on the subway. We did a joke about the winner of the the New York's Pedro Pascal's lookalike contest. And it turns out the winner is a member of the crew on The Daily Show. I was on The Daily Show talking to Jon Stewart about his honor. A jackal asked who on our staff would win a celebrity lookalike contest. I don't know. I mean, Scollins looks like the guy most likely to be psyched that Karen Reed is back on the market. I missed a couple who wrote the surprise inspection jokes, and there was an assumption that Pepsi Anal was written by Scollins. Donaldson. Donaldson wrote both Mountain Dew jokes, and then Bays wrote the astronaut jokes. For you completionists, write that in your journal. Did a mashup last week, a very popular mashup. I think we all enjoyed. But I had Paul Reiser's wisdom tooth and celebrity baby teeth. Not only was I told that wisdom teeth are not baby teeth, quite a few of you said, wisdom teeth are the opposite of baby teeth. That's insane. The opposite of baby teeth is when you die and your remaining teeth go back into the skull. Everyone knows that. But it was made clear to me that kids don't have baby teeth. Excuse me, kids have baby teeth, they don't have wisdom teeth, which was very concerning to me because my daughter, who's 3, definitely has wisdom teeth. And so I went up to her and I'm like, honey, I don't think kids your age have wisdom teeth. And she goes, no, Dad, they do. And I was like, no, I Googled it. I don't think someone who's 3 would have a full set of wisdom teeth. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, later, and then she ripped off her wig and jumped out the window, and it took all our jewelry. I didn't have a name for the Animal Flubs baby teeth mashup, but one of you did. Enamel Flubs. I did hear this loud and clear. The siren after Enamel Flubs was too loud. Some of you watch this late at night. You know, maybe you're in bed with a spouse who's asleep, and the last thing I want, is for a loud noise to wake them up, and then you have to, make up an excuse of something less embarrassing to watch than Corrections. They're like, what is that? And you're like, oh, horse porn. So from now on, when we play celebratory air horns in corrections, it'll be very quiet. A group of crows is called a murder. A group of drag queens is called a slayer. I could give you the context for that correction, but I feel like it's better standalone. I made a joke about throwing a turtle in a garbage can. Not everybody cared for that joke. One jackal even said, never throw a turtle in a garbage can, throw them in a biodegradable waste container. But look, you either throw the turtle in the garbage or you leave it in the middle of the road and then RFK Jr. sees it and it's lunch meat. Also, we've gone back and forth on whether a turtle can hear. Someone wrote in, turtles can hear, they just pretend they can't. That joke was sent in by a turtle's wife.
Turtle joke.
I don't know, I feel like playing it super quiet. It's really defeating the purpose.
Defeating the purpose.
No, 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 no! Someone said, why do you insert like in your sentences all the time? Are you a 15-year-old girl? No. But one time I was making a wish at a fountain at the same time as a 15-year-old girl. So now, long story short, I do say like all the time, but there's currently a freshman in high school who's telling all her girlfriends at lunch right now, what do you mean you've never seen The Wire? I referred to Glocks last week in corrections. Plural of the handgun Glock is not Glocks. It's Glock blocks. I had a friend who used to Glock block me all the time. Oh my God. You know guys like that? Got a friend who's Glock blocking you and you're like at the bar and you're like talking to a hot girl and then he just comes over and he's like, stop talking to her! It's just like the mood. I said the giant wicker man at the end of the movie was a statue. I was told it was an effigy. So once again, I'm going to call America's foremost Nick Cage expert to find out if he knew that. And a lot of people said, wouldn't Nick Cage be the foremost Nick Cage expert? I don't think so. I think he's surprised by things Nick Cage has done every day. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Do you mind, can I ask you a question as if you were Nick Cage?
I guess so.
Okay. So the Wicker Man wasn't a statue, it was an effigy.
Who wants to F with me?
No, no. No, effigy.
Oh, sorry, I misheard you in that law.
So I actually want to know, Nick Cage, how well do you know your work? So here's my question for you. Wicker Man obviously has the title Man in it, and then I realized you were in a movie called The Weatherman. So my question to you is, can you name every movie you were in that had man in the title?
Okay, Weatherman, Weatherman, Family Man, Spider-Man, and Man-D.
What about Matchstick Men?
You said man, not man,
Oh, this is fun. This is my favorite back and forth from the Jackals this week. A Jack and forth. Someone wrote, I'm super high, and this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Next person wrote, same. Third person wrote, I'm always high as around this time on Thursdays to watch corrections. Then they had a follow-up comment. To be honest, I'm always high, but that doesn't mean what I said wasn't true. Also, there was a request. Jackal made a request and said, "Hey, they know that we're big fans of Jason Mantzoukas, and they said, hey, you should have Jason Mantzoukas on our show next Tuesday." And Jason Mantzoukas is going to come on. Taskmaster, he's killing it on Taskmaster right now, so that'll be really fun. Someone said I'll give Seth Meyers $5 million if he can go 6 months without mentioning SNL. I don't know, man. Like, is Derek Jeter supposed to go 6 months without mentioning the Yankees? I'm not saying that the Yankees are the same as SNL. I'm just saying that if they were the same, I'm the Jeter. I'm joking, of course. I'm not the Jeter of SNL. I have put a lot of thought into which Yankee I am in relation to SNL. Mike Mussina. Check it out. Does work. I feel like I missed something. You know, I love a good anagram. This is good TV, right? Oh, we showed a graphic of two goats last week, and I referred to them. They were goat mascots, and I referred to them as Beavis and Headbutt. And someone's like, dude, their names are Beavis and Butthead. I know that. I'm saying a great name for goats would be Beavis and Headbutt. And everybody be like, that dude's funny. Guy, did you hear his names of his goats? I really don't think I have, yeah. I feel like I that Moff Tarkin joke. I'm Darth Vader. I'm Moff. Where are you off to? It's not a great Vader, that's hurting it. Where are you off to? I'm not off to anywhere, Vader. I'm staying here on the Death Star. And I'm not gonna let you rip it from my hands. Oh, I thought you said you were off. I'm never off. All right, let's try this again. I'm Darth. I'm off. Enough of this. Have you located the rebels? We have. We destroyed 2 of their bases, but now they've moved. Where are they now? 3rd base. Ooh. Always check the chair. First rule of corrections, always check the chair. We had a graphic of me playing Mario Kart World with an Xbox 360 controller. Mario Kart, way too many of you told me, is a Switch 2 game. So I found the member of the graphic team who made that graphic, and I asked, how could you make a mistake about video game controllers like that? And they told me the problem was they have a life. Someone wrote, do you get off on your anger toward the jackals? Is this in some way sexual for you? And I wondered why had they come to that conclusion. And they'd come to that conclusion because an anagram for the word corrections is erotic scorn. So maybe that has been what we've been doing. You know what was nice is I didn't just want the air horns to be quieter this week. Just in general wanted corrections to be a little bit quieter. I think we had a nice time. See you next week.